All right. So, I think it's about 8:20 from about 8:20 p.m. Sunday, May what is this? May 18th. Yeah, 8:13 p.m. Sunday, May 18th. So, I'm home, right? And I didn't go to church today because um I don't know. It started Thursday evening, when in my lower back I just started feeling this energy build up, this intense vibration in my lower back, and it was all in like one spot, right? And it's not that I twisted anything wrong or fell or did anything specifically to hurt this one specific spot, but when I placed my finger there, I could feel the warmth of something like circular or whatever, like if I place like the palm side of my hand against my back, on the backhand side I would feel like something warm, like almost like kind of flowing against the back of my hand. But it's like it was like something circular, not this big, but circular like that. But it was going against the back of my fingers, like going against my nails where I had my hand at on. So, something else. I noticed that a lot of times when I'm, home, or when I'm in, for the most part, even if I'm not even sure if it really matters exactly where I am. It's just my positioning. So, um, okay, this is, well, the app is called Sonic Tools. It's on the Apple App Store, Sonic Tools. Um, and this feature here, basically, it has all these different ways you can measure sound, vibrations, and magnetic field. So I go to this one here. No, I forgot what RMS means, but I'm on scope, right? So with scope, it measures the magnetic field of the X in red, Y. These are axes: X, Y, and then Z axis. Um, Let me see. So I don't know why is it like that. But anyway, so I was just noting. Okay, so on the left, you can't really see. You can't really see it. But on the left side here, it's measuring in what's this? Micro Teslas, and it's like 0 to 50, 100, whatever, right? These are the measurements that it's giving me. You see the maximums, the average, and the minimum, right? Now, for the record, anything over 40 micro Tesla is already well tested for basically being able to have an effect on a person's um, cellular health. The radiation or the energy from anything 40 or higher has already been known to cause changes to a person's cellular health in a degrading, degenerative way. What I am noticing is, as I'm home, I notice, as you can see, I'm like in my living room, right? What I'm noticing is, okay, now notice how the green, that's the Y axis. Now the direction I'm pointing the phone in, these are the directions where I'm feeling um, energy come from. So as you can see, I'm pointing up towards the corner. You see, there's nothing there. You see, there's nothing there. And then you saw that. But this is the direction that I'm feeling directed energy come from. Now if I pull the phone down here, whoop, look at that. Now if I back my phone away, right, bring my phone closer. Okay, so you see the phone, when my phone is up against her phone, you see it doesn't change much, but that that z-axis, the blue line. But look, I'm just angling it up towards the ceiling, and then there's a full flip. Angling it this way. Now, my theory is yeah, and it's like from this angle, like there, that's nothing there but the doorway to get to the bathroom. But once I put this up in that direction, I could feel the warmth of something hitting the back of my hand. Like there's this warm flow of something hitting the back of my hand. And then now I feel pressure decreasing inside of my head. And that's what I've been feeling most of the time for like the last few days. I'm always feeling pressure build up on the right side of my head, but now that little dip you saw with the blue, I felt a little decrease in pressure on the right side of my head then. Right there too. Now I'm gonna show you I am moving the phone. Pointing up towards the ceiling. Now let's try something. All right. Fuse box. The magnetic fields and the electrical grid are all being used against us in ways that we probably would never notice unless we're looking for it. Okay. Now, alright. So I'm by the refrigerator. Now, that fuse box, we don't use that. There's nothing in there. But when I hold my phone up against it, I could feel the warmth of I could feel a lot of warmth. I guess I could say that's the energy being carried by a frequency coming from that. You see how I'm not really moving it, but yet, doesn't it seem like the Y and the Z, they're moving by? Look, I'm not moving it. So how could that be moving if I'm not moving the phone itself? You see how they just changed again? Now, as I'm watching those two axes change, I'm feeling pressure changes inside of my head. I lifted it up a little bit. You see, I'm not moving it. So, they're using the power grid against us. And do I live in a building with a smart meter? I have no idea. But I am aware that they're using the power grid against us. This could explain why a lot of us are having so much problem with trying to stay healthy, and we feel like we're doing just about everything we could to reduce our radiation exposure, but there's still so much that we got to battle against. I mean, there's a whole infrastructure built up to protect them and to annihilate people like us, but I haven't lost faith yet. I just realized sometimes, you know what, when you feel like you hit a roadblock or you hit a moment where you just need to just stop and process things, maybe that's just what it is. You just need to take a minute to stop and process. I was supposed to go to church today, but I don't know. They made it real hard for me to go to sleep too. Plus, I felt all this energy in my back. And you know what it always feels like? It always feels like there's all these different energetic cords connecting to my body. Like several things and several people. It's like all these things and people are giving and sucking energy from me at the same time. And I'm doing well with at least telling myself that I'm not a disappointment, because I understand what I'm dealing with, and I understand that not a lot of people understands or can even experience what I'm going through. Only people who probably know what I'm going through are other people who are being targeted. And those who are aware of the technology, or even of just some facets of the technology, they understand what I'm going through. Why? Because we're doing what we need to do to at least, educate ourselves. Um, Even if a lot of the science and physics stuff and the mathematics stuff sound like mumbo jumbo when we try to read it, you still got to do so. Because it is the lack of information that basically gives them all the power that they need. It's the lack of us having information. While they possess all the information, we lack the information so that they can control our perceptions. They can control our lives, at least to the best of their ability, with the information that they have that we lack of. But yes, so seeing that they're obviously manipulating magnetic fields or electromagnetic fields, it goes without question that whatever has to be done, it can't just be something about shielding, or it can't just be about some internal metal detoxing or whatever. It has to be something that's like a plethora of multiple things. Because remember, they're using multiple technologies. They're using more than 2 or 3 different technologies on us. They're using multiple technologies on us. And I don't know. I'm about to try to see if I can. Usually, sometimes whenever I have this pain in my back, I get one of these. These are neodymium magnets that I've taped together, all repelling. And I wrapped it with. I need to get rid of this. I wrapped it with Kapton tape. But the other thing I'm thinking too, oh yeah, for those of you that definitely do your heavy metal detoxes, yeah, I should already know about chlorella. Oh, and the reason why I got to get rid of this is because this does nothing but actually help them reflect waves off of that surface and then onto me. So if they had, let's say, I don't know, let's say on the other side of this wall in this closet, the neighbors have like a TV or some other type of electronic device, because the infrastructure that they use allows them to harvest energy from anything and everyone. They could basically harvest energy from, I don't know, like a TV that's wall mounted or a lamp or whatever that's on the other side of the wall. And then the waves carrying that energy can reflect off of the aluminum tape that I have there. And then they can basically like forward that energy and bend it, because we're dealing with technology that can basically bend light beams or energy waves, bend it so that it can always find me, or find my girlfriend. I'm trying my best to maintain my composure and whatnot, though they are they definitely at times feel like they're quote unquote winning. But I mean, when they have such resources at hand, I mean, of course they're gonna have that consistent feeling or the sensation of believing that they're winning, because they have resources, they have the information that I don't have, they have things that I don't have. But what are they actually winning when you think about it? Because I mean, I'm not going to get into this right now, but when you think about life in itself, and then when one threatens one's life, I mean, we're talking about the physical life, right? I mean, obviously nobody wants to die, but we don't ever think about death unless it's happening to us or someone we're caring about. We don't ever think about how many times we kill something, you know? Not trying to get too dark, but I just think about it. I'm like, yo, what if I was to tell you we put way too much emphasis on living and dying? and forgetting about the fact that our physical bodies weren't meant to live on this earth for whatever amount of time. I mean, because, well, we have ancestors that have destroyed that whole idea for us to live forever, quote unquote, or to live to be well over 100. Certain interactions with human beings have ruined that for many of us, whether genetically or systematically. Now, and it's funny because when I think about it, I'm like, we got all these dark entities and elite groups who are trying to, let's say, control whether anyone lives or dies, but do they really? Because I mean, physically, none of us are promised a long life. None of us are promised a long life. We aren't promised a life without pain. We aren't promised a life without torture or discomforts. But we are promised an experience. We are promised experiences with every breath and every second that passes. We are promised an experience. And all experiences are possible. Sometimes you make your own decisions in what you experience, and sometimes it's out of your control. The psychological aspect of all this, it gets hard at times, especially with the V2K, because the V2K is basically trying to fill in the gaps of things that you aren't even necessarily sure is actually happening, or if this person is actually thinking it. Psychological aspect is always at play, because like I've said in other videos before, they play on the future and your past. They use your past against you, and then they try to make you fear. They use your past against you, and then they try to make your future to be your next fear. The present is your most powerful self, because that's the one part of you that you can control, because you can control what you choose to focus on. Right now, some people will say, well, in the present, you fucking up, Chris. You ain't taking care of your mother. You ain't taking care of your girl. You don't care about nobody. You don't even check on your sister. You don't do nothing for nobody. All you do, this is basically what the V2K is saying. All you do is drink. And they don't even really talk about that I go to work or have a job or anything like that. All they say is, people taking away your livelihood, and you ain't doing nothing to help nobody. Da da da. But it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still someone who does not have access to this technology. And I don't have the years or months of someone teaching me or me finding the right information to learn how to gain access to this technology and the information that they're utilizing. So it's like, it makes sense for me to struggle. Why? Because I don't have the same information they do. Now they talking about, oh, everybody think you a snitch, and everybody think you're this, and you do that, and oh, you don't materialize anything, and I'm just thinking to myself, well, it's easy to say all this when you're orchestrating all of it. It's like I already understand how the technology is entangled with the nervous system. And if you can control the nervous system, you can basically control a person. If you can control a person's nervous system and their lymphatic system, you can literally get them to think and feel and do almost whatever it is that you want, because you can send information to that person's body and their body is going to respond to it. More times than likely, most people are not trained every day to know how to respond to subtle influences or high energy inputs that has a pinpoint laser beam to a direct spot in the brain that says stimulate for, I don't know, pain, or stimulate for depression, or whatever the case. Not everyone is trained to do that, and I don't think most of them are trained either. It's just that some people actually just got their card because they were compliant, or some people got their card because they was already dirty, or some people got their card because, they didn't want to be black. Oh no, they are being blackmailed, but they didn't want the information that's being used to blackmail them to basically, be put out there. So it's like, in my mind, everyone who is judging me probably don't have no idea what this vessel is going through. See, but I'm already psychologically and spiritually in tuned that I can actually understand what they're doing to not just me, but to almost everyone around me. And at times I find myself almost trying to read strangers' energies and their energy fields when I'm walking past them in the street. Why? Because a part of me is wondering, are they a victim? Well, when you think about it, most people are victims in this whole system. You either got the victim or you got the abuser. And then you got the occasional victimized abuser. Because some people are turned abusers because, well, they're being blackmailed or whatever the case. And all we're talking about is radio frequencies, Bluetooth, extremely low frequencies. We're talking about ultrasound. We're talking about infrared. We're talking about smart dust, nanotechnology. We're talking about wireless body area networks, wireless sensor networks. We're talking about energy harvesting. We're talking about capacitive coupling, galvanic coupling, mechanical coupling. I think it's, or is it piezoelectric? I forgot. Is all this stuff is like all these terms. They're in all these different studies, all about nanotechnology and how the W band is going to be the future of health and medicine. And TIs, we're basically like, if anyone ever wanted to know what dystopian future for what it would look like for a free but enslaved human being would look like, you could look at a TI. You look at someone who's being targeted by the system, that's basically it right there. You look at someone who's being targeted by that system, that's basically right there. Now they're gonna keep putting out in the news and whatever feeds that you see, the posts and advertisements that this technology is coming out that can, transfer thoughts from one person to the next person. Isn't that cool? Well, it does sound cool till you realize, well, on the flip side of that, what if somebody wants to steal information from someone else's mind to put into their mind? So if they're doing it so that they can make it so that one person can transfer thoughts to another person, that means someone out there is actually finding a way to steal thoughts from another person to put into their mind. I don't know. You know what's sad? sometimes I keep thinking I'm going to find out everything. And then just when I think I found out everything, that's when they're going to do it. That's when they're going to do the big one. See, several times today they've sent pulsed energy to my heart. Some of it was mostly, I felt like to scare me or something like that. But I don't necessarily allow myself to get too afraid whenever I feel them now. I just remember to breathe. A lot of times I could gradually feel them about to send one of those pulses. It's like, and I tell everybody all the time, it usually starts off with a small gradual buildup of a tingling sensation. Then it starts to burn, or it starts to feel like this numbing pain or jabbing pain. It depends on the frequency and the amplitude of the frequency, I guess. And then once I feel that they have, it basically reached like this kind of like a plateau where it seemed like they've met like this most accurate or most precise resonance. That's when all of a sudden I kind of almost feel like this wave, like almost like when you're in the ocean, if you're standing in the ocean, right? You're on the beach and you're standing and you feel you feel kind of like the water kind of recede, and then you kind of gradually feel the water starting to rush back towards you. Well, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. It's like once they have set up the resonance that they want with your body, wherever they're about to send a pulse, like a strong pulse attack, they kind of, it's like once they get it set, right? And then they notice that you, like, they notice, it's like in there, it's like through their system, they see that you notice that there's something uncomfortable at this spot, this location. They see you notice it, but they also know that you probably don't exactly know what's happening. You just notice that there's something very discomforting in this spot. And then they send a pulse that's carrying a lot of energy, and then it shoots right into the heart. I felt one kind of hit like the sternum, or I guess you would say the heart center, because the heart center isn't necessarily over the heart. The heart's on the left side of the body, not necessarily in the center of the chest. I felt the pulse attack on the chest, but there are times where they do send pulse attacks directly to the heart. But most of the time, I feel the gradual swell of the energy before the full blunt force of the impact of it. And then it's like once I feel the impact, that exhale breath, that's your exhale breath is probably your most important one. Well, actually, I'd probably say the inhale, but your exhale, just controlling your breathing in general, because the reason why I say controlling your breathing is extremely important is because when you control your breathing, you're taking control of your breath, and you're also taking it out of the hands of your, your autonomic system. I forgot what it's called, but you take control of your breath, so then you can take control of the electrical activity that's happening in your body. Because when they're trying to prime you up for when they're trying to prime you up for like an onslaught of attacks, they're gonna get you riled up into a point where you're kind of like, teetering, you're floating, you're like floating on the edge of, despair, something like that. Like you're teetering on that edge. And then it's like once they get you to that edge, then they send that pulse that pulse attack to try to see if it can throw you off, and that pulse attack is basically to get you to jump, to get you to really feel fear. Because it's like once they get you primed up, you're already thinking, oh my goodness, what's this? It's building up. I don't know what's happening. Da, da, da. So now you're panicking. Once that panic is set in and it now has like a consistent thing with you, once that panic has set in, now it's like, okay, they're going to time when they're going to send that next pulse that's supposed to really freak you out. The one that makes you think, oh my God, am I about to have a stroke? Oh my goodness, am I about to have a heart attack? Oh my goodness, I felt pulses. I felt a pulse hit me in my kidney. Is my kidney about to explode? They're doing all of this to try to see if they can get you to produce loose energy. They might not tell you in those words, but trust me, somewhere in them upper tiers of their society, they know about loose energy. And that's the reason why they torture rather than kill, because obviously we all know that they can just kill however many people that they want. Well, not necessarily, because they need to have a story in order to kill a bunch of people. They can't just kill a bunch of people. It's gonna be sloppy that way. So they gotta have a story. It gotta be something behind it, whether it's a disease or maybe that person had tumors caused by the technology. A number of things. They've been talking about this tumor in my brain for several months, probably years now. They've been saying this for a while. And they've been telling me that a bunch of people waiting on me to die a bunch of people waiting on me to die. Then they're also saying stuff like, oh, there's a bunch of people at your job that's waiting for the signal to jump you. And I'm like, for what? I ain't do nothing to nobody. And then they're like, oh, because I'm like, then there's these moments where I think, oh, maybe today might be the day some random person I never interacted with before just out of nowhere does something. And I'm thinking to myself, well, at least when I think about it, it shouldn't seem too far-fetched, because I have been talking about it for at least about 4, almost 5 years now, that since learning about this technology, people are trying to kill me. Now, I've been saying this, so it's like if something does happen, well, I've been saying, and this is basically all I've been talking about. It's not like I've been talking about any other problems in my life. Hell, even on Facebook, I never really talked that much about. And that's the other thing, though. I realized too, because like anybody who at least know me, even people who haven't really known me personally like that, but they at least know me for years on Facebook, they know I don't necessarily talk about my personal problems like that. I might be opinionated about certain things, but I don't talk about what be personally going on in my life all the time. This gang stalking, this is the first time I'm really putting myself out there. Like with the gang stalking, this is the first time I'm really putting myself out there in the world. Like talking about what's really going on, but it seemed like nobody cares and nobody wants to know. So it's disappointing, but it's also eye-opening to understand that there is a boogeyman. And a lot of people who are tough are not as tough as you think they are when you start to mention something about certain technologies and secret societies and stuff like that. And it's funny because I'm so used to being, man, I couldn't even count on 100 pair of hands how many times. Maybe I'm just overstretching it, but I'm like, it's like, do you know how many times in my life I've been called a pussy because I didn't fight somebody, or because I didn't feel like getting jumped that day or something like that? And then it's like now in my 30s, I'm being called a pussy because I didn't want to hear four people threatening my life through using technology, and then also stimulating me to feel pain and discomfort the majority of my life that I'm awake and sleep. And not just that, but not just that. I don't know. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. But you know what? I don't feel defeated. I just feel like some days I just have to rest. I think right now, one of my biggest things that I'm struggling with is impulse control. Because it's messing with my money, it's messing with my relationship, I would say. And impulses are electrical. Everything is electrical. Magnetic field scope. Magnetic fields. Repelling magnetic fields. I'm gonna work on this. In the meantime, I hope y'all doing all right. Just wanted to check in with y'all and let y'all know that I am constantly always working on trying to find ways to see how we can detect if at least what direction attacks could be coming from, what objects or people they could be coming from. And I mean, let's just be straight up though. Everyone has this technology in them, but not everyone has access to it. All right, so yeah, that's it for now. Take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.